Coming to you live from inside my tent today, thinking about perhaps calling this series Wisdom from the Woods. So as promised, I'm going to start making longer style videos because I don't feel that you can condense the nuance behind everything that I try and talk about into 3-minute reels or Instagram captions / Facebook posts. And I did say on my last video that I will start making videos to answer any good questions that I get. And so this question that I'm answering today was left under my last video, which was called "You Are Being MK Ultra'd Every Time You Scroll." So today's video is going to be answering this question. So let me just read it. I should have set my screen up better because now I can't see it. So let me just read this question here. Hi Bieber, thank you for shining your light. It would be amazing to hear you speak about overcoming fear. I suffer with generalized anxiety disorder. I'm trying to find God. I'm the first of my family not to cupcake my child. For those who don't know, cupcake is a word that people use when talking about vaccines, and it weighs heavily on me. I feel very alone and scared, and I want to break free. Any advice you could give would be so appreciated. Let's dive in. Okay, so there's a lot to deconstruct here in this comment, and so I want to talk about let's start with the first sentence. It would be amazing to hear you speak about overcoming fear. Fear is a gift from God. We were created by our divine creator, and all our emotions give us valid feedback as to what is happening in our field. And so we were gifted the emotion of fear to be able to make decisions to help save our lives. If you are feeling scared, it should be as a direct result of something that is immediately happening, so that you can take immediate action. If you are living in a constant state of fear, which I did for many, many years, but if you are living in a constant state of fear, that is a sign that something is very, very wrong. One of my favorite sayings, if you are living with depression, you are living in the past. And if you are living in anxiety, if you're living with anxiety, you are living in the future. All we ever have is the now. And unless your life is in direct, imminent danger in the now, there shouldn't be any fear. But fear is the baseline resonance of the majority, if not all, of the constructs that we are bound by. So what's happening here, you're the first in your family not to poke your child. Well done, me too. And that is weighing heavily on you. I feel very alone and scared, you write in this comment. So what has happened here is that you have woken up to one construct. You've been made aware of one construct that is binding you, which is the construct of that vaccines are safe and effective, and that they have the potential to prevent disease. And as mothers, of course, the first thing we want to do is to protect our children. That is our most biological basic instinct. That is one of our greatest gifts from God, is our maternal instinct. And so that becomes immediately switched on the moment you become a mother, and you become heightened and aware of any impending threats towards your children. If you are feeling scared about vaccines or disease, that tells me that you don't understand them. I say this all the time, but every single vaccine in production contains documented neurotoxins and carcinogens. Viruses have never been isolated and proven to exist. So the only way to alleviate the fear that you are feeling towards either not vaccinating or towards your child developing, a fatal disease, is to understand the laws. Begin researching the biological laws. Come to an understanding of the biological laws. This enlightenment cannot be given to you. You won't get this through something that somebody says. This is an internal journey. Anybody who is feeling fear of the fact they have chosen not to vaccinate their children does not understand fully yet why they have chosen not to do it. Arguably, I would say you've fallen into the natural wellness world, and you think it's the right thing to do. It's the done thing to do now is not to vaccinate, but you don't understand why you're not vaccinating. You need to understand your why behind the decisions that you have made. It makes no sense under any form of law, biological, natural, or quantum, to inject yourself with anything. Again, diabetics, don't come at me. There's a million ways to heal it. And so when you do begin to understand that, when you begin to understand what dis-ease actually is, you realize that actually the only way to prevent disease is to align your soul and your spirit with your mind and your body. Disease does not come from an outside pathogen, an outside bacteria. You are a microcosm of bacteria existing in a macrocosm of bacteria. And so to answer the first part of this question, where you say it would be amazing to hear me speak about overcoming fear, I've just explained that this is what fear is. Fear is false evidence appearing real, and it is you projecting yourself into a place in the future where that false evidence has actualized. It is false evidence that vaccines can prevent disease. It is false evidence that viruses can cause disease. You are fixated on that false evidence, and you will call it into your reality, because under natural law you have accepted the offer that vaccines are safe and effective, or you have accepted the offer that a virus is something that you can catch and that can be prevented by a magic poke in the arm. What you fixate on, you will call into your reality. I'm not saying that you will necessarily call deadly disease into your reality, but you will call in the situation by your energetic bonds alone. The mother's energetic frequency, the mother's nervous system, is the backbone of the whole energetic frequency of the family. And so through your own dis-ease, because you are feeling out of alignment, your mind and your body is telling you, is this the right thing to do? Is this the right thing to do? And your soul and your spirit is telling you another thing. You will be diseased. You will call in disease within the family. Again, this isn't something to fear, because disease isn't something to fear. The symptoms that any of us experience were not designed to kill us. God's really smart like that. He didn't design a flawed system. You then go on to say, I suffer with generalised anxiety disorder. I'm going to call you out on that. I'm going to call you out on it with kindness, but no, you don't. No, you don't. I suffer with, that is an incredibly potent and powerful sentence to state. I suffer with. One of my favourite mantras is, from your lips to God's ears. Mean whatever you speak into existence, you will do just that. You will speak it into existence. You are battling anxiety because you are living in a future that does not exist. Nobody suffers from any form of anxiety disorder. Nobody suffers from any form of disorder without voluntarily consenting to. You are consuming the information that is causing anxiety. So stop consuming it. I know when we first sort of wake up to Big Pharma, we find it really tempting to go all the way down the rabbit holes. What's NASA doing? What's Big Pharma doing? Have you heard about Monsanto? What are the ingredients of chemtrails? Did you hear about the Titanic? It's never ending. And ultimately, what are you trying to achieve with it? Are you trying to find out just how evil somebody is? Well, what's the point in that? Deception is deception. As soon as somebody has showed you who they are, as soon as somebody who has showed you, be it Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, Mark Zuckerberg, or the guy next door, as soon as somebody has showed you with their words, their actions, and their intentions what they are capable of and what they are all about, any choice that you make to continue engaging with them is your choice. We should all just withdraw our energy from that. You will find all the answers that you need once you begin to go within your intuition, the tuition that will come internally from your alignment with your divine creator. That is what all of us need to be focusing on. That is what all of us need to be developing. So to say, I suffer with generalised anxiety disorder, that is you firmly entrenched in the drama triangle. You don't suffer with anything that you are not choosing to suffer with. You are choosing to be anxious because you are choosing the information that you consume that is forming your internal state. Nobody is holding a gun to your head and forcing you to read all of this nonsense. And it is nonsense. To read all of the stuff that the elites are up to read all of the ways in which vaccines are poisonous. One of the examples that I use when I'm teaching people to better align with their intuition is I take them into a place where they disregarded their intuition. And one of the most core memories that I have of me doing this was when I took my son. This was back in 2005. But in 2005, I took my now 21-year-old son for his childhood vaccines. I was completely and utterly entrenched in the system. I had no idea about any conspiracies. I'd lived through 9/11 as a witness, and that had sparked something inside me of, this isn't making sense. But I hadn't gone down the whole big pharma rabbit hole. And I was sitting in the doctor's office, in the nurse's room, whatever it is, holding my tiny, tiny, tiny baby. And I began getting these nudges to get up and leave, which was my conscious mind, my soul and spirit informing me that this wasn't something I should be doing. My mind and my body then began to revolt against that and say all the usual programmed responses. You're only scared because he's going to get poked and that's going to hurt him. You don't know how you need to do this. You need your measles. He's deadly. Meningitis. He's deadly. You need to do this. And that was one of the very first core memories that I've got of me overriding my intuition. I wasn't reading vaccine inserts to be told they were dangerous. I wasn't looking at all vaccine injuries to know that they were dangerous. I did that much later on down the line. But in that moment, I was being told via my intuition, the teachings that were coming from within, that what I was about to do to my child was what had been ordained by God. You need to get back in touch with that feeling. And one of the most potent ways to do that is to become extremely conscious about the information that you are choosing to absorb. You go on to say, I'm the first in my family not to cupcake my child, and it weighs heavily on me, and I feel very alone and scared. Any decision that you are making for your child shouldn't weigh heavily. You should be very conscious about all the decisions that you are making on behalf of your children, but rest assured that you will fuck up. We will all fuck up our kids on some level. That is okay, we've got our traumas to deal with and programs. They're going to have their traumas and programs to deal with. Nobody's raising an unprogrammed, untraumatized child just by nature of us all being human. Of course, all decisions that you are making on behalf of your children, I don't know if weigh heavily is the right word, but you're absolutely nothing. We shouldn't be carrying anything heavy, but we should absolutely be conscious of the decisions that we are making on behalf of our child. Do I question every day if I'm fucking my children up by world schooling them as a single mother? Of course I do. But I am confident in my decisions because I am confident that I have the ability to course correct when my intuition tells me that what I am doing is out of alignment. Again, don't let these hippie woo-woo words throw you off. Out of alignment simply means when our subconscious is battling with our conscious mind, when our mind and our body is battling with our soul and our spirit. Faith in a higher power and faith in our divine creator is directly correlative to the faith that we have within ourselves. So if you don't have faith in the decisions that you are making, you need to work on deeply fostering the relationship that you have with your creator. You go on to say you feel very, very alone and scared. We're all alone in this world. That's one of the harsh yet beautiful truths. The whole journey that we are on here is the journey of individuation, which is the journey of becoming a solo person, person under God. God's instructions for you are different for God's instructions for me, which are different for God's instructions for the next person. There is nobody on this journey who has come down to do it as a team effort. It's wonderful when you find your divine union, when you find if you're a man, when you find your divine woman, and if you're a woman, when you find your divine man. That is wonderful when you're in that union together. But nobody's coming to earth to play this game of life as a team player. We are all alone on the journey. If you are scared on the journey, you need to deepen your connection with your creator. You can give any name to that you want. Life itself, divine intelligence, God, Sky Daddy, whatever floats your boat. If religious indoctrination has made the word God a bit repelling for you, find a word that works for you, because you are the creation, and the creation is never smarter than the creator. And you do have a divine creator who is trying to give you your next step all the time, who is trying to talk to you via your intuition all the time. So don't be a victim. I'm saying all this with love, okay? I'm saying all this with kindness. The truth can sometimes feel really, really hard to hear. But the truth is ultimately what will set us free. Any of this has sparked any interest with anybody, I'd love to invite you to join me on my new container, The Move. We start on the 15th of June. This is a program that I have put together where we will go deeply into how to uninstall the programs that we are bound by within our subconscious, and how to align with the truth of what our conscious is trying to tell us. Your conscience wants you to live in the perfect square of life, as my favourite metaphysicist Florence Shin writes. A perfect square of life is when we are experiencing health, wealth, peace, and we are living in our purpose. We have complete and utter perfect self-expression. My new container has been designed to take us deeply, deeply, deeply into this. The link is, I will drop the link underneath this video. Please keep more questions coming. Please do not be put off by my harsh, truthful delivery. It is all said with love, because I will only speak the truth, and the truth is ultimately what will set you free. Drop any comments or any other questions that you want underneath this video, and I will endeavour to answer them. Have a beautiful day, guys.